Have you ever wondered why the most powerful people in the world are often the quietest in the room? They know something most people don't. Do you ever feel like the more you talk, the less people actually listen? Maybe you've been ignoring the most underrated tool of all, silence. Silence may seem weak, but in the hands of wise people, it's the ultimate strategy. What if learning to speak less could completely transform your life? Welcome to our channel, where learning English is just the beginning. Here, you grow stronger, wiser, and more powerful with every lesson. Today's topic is not just about language, it's about mindset. It's about mastering something most people overlook, yet it holds the key to success, confidence, and peace. The power of silence. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the most successful individuals often talk less than others? They don't waste time arguing. They don't try to explain themselves to everyone. They don't react to every insult or opinion thrown their way. Why? Because they understand a simple but powerful truth. Once words are spoken, they can never be taken back. Yes, you can apologize, you can explain, but the damage is already done. A person might forget a compliment, but an insult, that sticks for years. Silence is not weakness. It is protection. It is wisdom. And more than anything, it is power. A silent person listens more, and the more you listen, the more you learn. And when you learn more, you grow faster. This is not about being shy. It's not about being introverted. This is about becoming clear-minded, disciplined, calm, and when needed, dangerous. Because when you learn to control your voice, you gain control over your energy, your emotions, and your entire life. In this video, you'll discover the hidden power of staying silent, the life-changing benefits of calm control, and how silence can make you stronger, smarter, and more respected. And yes, while learning all that, you'll also improve your English, your thinking, and your ability to express yourself with real impact. So stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn might just change your entire life. One of the greatest advantages of silence is that it gives you a powerful head start in life. While others are busy talking, explaining, and seeking validation, the silent person is quietly moving forward, planning, building, and winning. When you speak less, you reveal less. You don't announce every goal, every idea, every small victory. You protect your vision from judgment, envy, and distraction. And in that space of silence, you gain clarity, focus, and momentum. There's an old saying, let your success make the noise. And it's true. When you stay silent about your plans, your progress surprises everyone. People don't see it coming. And that's exactly what gives you an edge. Let me share a story that proves this point. There was a young man determined to build his own business. He told no one, not even his closest friends. While others were posting selfies and chasing likes online, he was studying late into the night, reading, learning, and grinding quietly behind the scenes. His friends laughed at him. They said, "You? Start a business. You can't even manage your time." But he didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He chose silence. He didn't react. He just worked. Day after day, week after week, month after month, and then, just 1 year later, they were shocked. He had launched a successful, profitable company. The same people who mocked him now asked, "How did you do it?" He smiled and said just one sentence, "While you were talking, I was working." That's the power of silence. By not speaking, he protected his energy. He avoided useless arguments. And most importantly, he created the element of surprise. People underestimated him because he let them. While they wasted time proving their worth, he was quietly building his. And when the results came, they spoke louder than any words ever could. So remember this: the silent person always moves ahead, not because they are better, but because they don't waste time trying to prove they are. They focus. They protect their mission. They let actions speak. And in a world that never stops talking, the person who stays quiet and keeps working is the one who finishes first. Silence doesn't just protect your plans, it sharpens your perception. When you're not busy trying to be heard, you start to truly hear. And what you hear, what you notice in silence, is often far more valuable than anything you could have said. When you stay silent, you give other people the chance to speak. And that's when the truth comes out. People, though, reveal their character when they talk too much. Their values, their fears, their ego, their insecurity. It all comes pouring out in their words. You don't even have to ask. Just by being quiet, you begin to see who they really are beneath the surface. Let's imagine a situation you've probably experienced yourself. You're sitting in a group. Everyone's laughing, chatting, throwing jokes around. But you choose to stay quiet, just observing. At first, they might think you're not paying attention. Maybe they even assume you're shy or that you don't have anything to say. But in that quiet observation, you start to see clearly. You notice the person who constantly talks negatively about others, the one who brags endlessly about money or achievements, the one who throws small, cutting jokes, disguised as humor but designed to hurt. You recognize who's insecure, who's jealous, who's genuinely kind, and who's wearing a mask. And the beautiful part? They don't notice that you've noticed. They think you're not watching, but you are. You're just not reacting. You're analyzing. You're learning. That's the secret power of silence. It lets you see people, not just hear them. In silence, your mind becomes more sensitive to small details. Tone of voice, eye movement, choice of words, body language. These are things you can't pick up when you're busy trying to talk over someone or prove your point. And once you can see people for who they are, your decisions become sharper. You know who to trust, who to avoid, who is sincere, who is fake. You waste less time on the wrong people and invest more in the right ones. This power is especially valuable in business, and in leadership, and in personal relationships. The person who observes silently always ends up one step ahead. Because they're not reacting emotionally, they're thinking strategically. You begin to listen not just to reply, but to understand. You no longer jump to conclusions or assumptions. You let people reveal themselves in their own words. And the more silent you become, the more people underestimate you, until the moment they realize you already know everything you need to know about them. So don't be afraid to step back. Don't feel the need to fill every silence with sound, because the quiet observer always sees what the loudspeaker misses. Silence isn't just about peace. It's also about strategy. In the world of business, leadership, and negotiation, one powerful rule often separates the winners from the losers. The first one to speak loses. Why is that? Because when you speak first, you reveal too much. You expose your position, your emotions, your expectations. You give the other person power, the power to read you, to analyze you, to adjust their response based on what you've already shown. But when you stay silent, everything changes. You hold the tension. You control the pace. You keep your cards hidden. And most importantly, you make the other person uncomfortable. Let me illustrate this with a real example. A man walked into a job interview at a large, prestigious company. After reviewing his resume, the interviewer said, "We're offering $70,000 per year. How does that sound?" The man didn't answer. He just smiled and remained completely silent. 5 seconds passed, then 10, then 15. The silence became heavy. The interviewer grew visibly nervous. Finally, he said, "Okay, you know what? Let me talk to HR. We might be able to offer 80,000. That's right. Without saying a single word, the man increased his salary by 10,000. Why? Because his silence created pressure. His silence implied confidence, patience, and control. He didn't need to beg. He didn't need to sell himself. He let the other person reveal more, just by waiting. This is not just a negotiation trick. It's a principle of power. In high-level business deals, political discussions, and even personal conflicts, the one who stays quiet holds the advantage. The person who rushes to speak usually does so out of fear, insecurity, or impatience. But the one who pauses, who watches, listens, and thinks stays in command. Let's look at a real-world figure. You may have heard of a wealthy tech founder. Let's call him Mr. Z. In the early years, he was quiet, focused, behind the scenes. But when his company became huge, he started giving bold interviews, criticizing powerful institutions, and drawing attention. Then suddenly, he disappeared from the public eye for months. No one heard from him. No one knew where he was. And that's when people realized something important. In some situations, silence isn't just wise. It's necessary for survival. When he returned, he was different, more reserved, more cautious. He had learned the cost of saying too much. So what does this mean for you? It means don't rush to speak. Don't try to impress. Don't explain yourself unnecessarily. Every time you speak, you give away a little bit of your position, your mindset, your energy. But when you stay quiet, you stay in control. And remember this, the strongest person in the room is rarely the one speaking the most. It's usually the one who says the least, but makes every word count. So next time you're in a negotiation, a debate, or even just a difficult conversation, pause. Let the other person go first. Let them show their hand. Let them reveal their limits. Because silence is not emptiness. It's leverage. In moments of danger, when everything feels like it's falling apart, most people panic. They scream. They react without thinking. They speak before understanding. And that reaction, fast and emotional, often leads to more trouble, more mistakes, and more regret. But there's another path, a stronger, quieter path. The one who remains silent in the storm gains something others lose, focus. When chaos surrounds you, silence becomes your shield. It creates space between stimulus and response, between what is happening and what you choose to do next. And that small space is everything. Let me share a powerful true story. A young soldier found himself alone, deep inside enemy territory. His unit had been wiped out. His radio was broken. It was night. He was completely isolated, and all around him, enemy soldiers were patrolling, armed, alert, ready to kill. One wrong move, one small sound, and it would be over. So what did he do? He didn't run. He didn't whisper. He didn't even breathe heavily. He became still, completely still. He slowed his breathing. He quieted his mind. He didn't speak, not even inside his own thoughts. For 6 hours, he remained perfectly motionless, blending into the night. And then, when the time was right, He escaped. Later, when interviewed, he said something unforgettable. "Silence saved my life." That story may sound extreme, but danger doesn't only exist on battlefields. In real life, danger comes in many forms. A heated argument at work, a sudden crisis in your business, a conflict in your relationship, a moment when you're about to lose control, say something you'll regret, or make a decision you'll wish you could undo. In those moments, you have two choices: react emotionally or pause in silence. The person who reacts emotionally often speaks without thinking and ends up damaging their reputation, their relationships, and their peace of mind. But the person who stays silent, even for just a few seconds, buys time. And time creates clarity. Silence helps you see things as they are, not as your emotions are painting them. It allows your logical brain to take over before your emotional brain explodes. Nature itself shows us this truth. The lion doesn't roar before it attacks. The eagle doesn't scream before it dives. The deadliest hunters are the quietest ones. They wait. They calculate. And when the time comes, they move with precision. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, under pressure, or provoked, don't speak. Don't react. Don't try to win the moment. Just pause. Just breathe. Just be silent. Let your mind clear. Let your emotions settle. Because in danger, silence isn't weakness. It's survival. And the person who masters silence in moments of chaos is the one who stays calm, stays alive, and stays in control. In a world that never stops talking, silence can feel strange, even uncomfortable. People often confuse it with emptiness, laziness, or weakness. But the truth is, silence is not nothing. Silence is growth. Silence is strength being built quietly, deep inside you. Silence doesn't mean you're not doing anything. It means you're doing something so important, so powerful, that the outside world cannot see it yet. You are developing patience, discipline, focus, and emotional control. Qualities that don't shine immediately, but that make you unshakable over time. Let's travel back in time to one of the most powerful transformations in human history. There was once a prince. He had everything: luxury, servants, palaces, wealth, and power. But deep inside, he felt empty. So one day, he walked away from it all. He left his title, his comfort, his fame, and he chose silence. He walked through forests. He sat under a tree. He didn't speak. He didn't eat. He didn't move. He simply observed his thoughts, day after day, night after night. That prince later became known to the world as the Buddha. And it was in silence, not in words, not in debates, not in achievements, that he found awakening. He once said, "Silence is the language of the awakened." Why? Because in silence, we stop listening to the noise of the world, and we start hearing the truth within ourselves. Now, fast forward to the present day. Everywhere you look, people are shouting online, "Look at me! Listen to me! Follow me!" They want attention. They want applause. But the strongest ones, the real builders, the real warriors, stay quiet. They are not trying to impress. They are not looking for approval. They are working in silence, training in the shadows, like a boxer who rises at 5 a.m. to run through dark streets. No one sees him. No one cheers. No one posts about it. But every step he takes, every punch he throws in solitude, is making him stronger than anyone watching. And one day, he enters the ring. And the world says, where did he come from? He came from silence. Silence is the training ground of champions. It's where leaders are shaped. It's where your true strength is forged. Not loud and flashy, but calm, grounded and real. Even in modern storytelling, this truth shows up. Think of powerful fictional characters like the calm, calculated leader, the one who walks into a room and says very little, yet everyone listens. Why? Because when you don't speak often, every word you say has weight. When you're always talking, people stop listening. But when you stay quiet and speak only with purpose, people lean in. So ask yourself, are you using your energy to talk, to prove, to argue? Or are you using your energy to build yourself in silence? Because silence isn't where weakness hides. It's where legends are born. Negotiation isn't about who talks the most. In fact, the person who dominates the conversation often loses control without even realizing it. True negotiation, whether in business, leadership, or personal life, isn't about words. It's about patience, presence, and power. And silence gives you all three. When you stay silent in a negotiation, you create mystery. You build pressure. You keep the other person guessing. They can't read you. They don't know what you're thinking, what you want, or how far you're willing to go. That's what gives you the upper hand. Let me show you how silence becomes strength in one of history's most powerful examples. There was once a man who spent 27 years in prison. Most people would have come out angry, bitter, broken, but when he walked out, he didn't shout. He didn't seek revenge. He didn't complain. He stayed calm, quiet, and measured. That man was Nelson Mandela. When it came time to negotiate with the very people who once imprisoned him, he didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. Instead, he listened. He waited. And when he spoke with the full weight of silence behind his words. Observers said his silence could freeze a room. Why? Because it wasn't coming from fear. It was coming from inner strength. He wasn't speaking from ego. He was speaking from conviction. And in the end, he didn't just gain his own freedom. He freed an entire nation. That's the unmatched power of silence in negotiation. It demands respect without asking for it. Now imagine a boardroom. Two business people are sitting across from each other. One keeps talking fast. I want this deal. I'm offering 20%. I can go higher. Let's move quickly. The other stays still, calm, observing. And then, just one line. I think you're underestimating our value. And then, in silence, suddenly the energy in the room shifts. The person who was talking nonstop starts to panic. They can't tell what the quiet one is thinking. The silence is loud. The silence speaks volumes. And that's the power of restraint. In negotiation, the one who speaks least often ends up winning more. Because they're not reacting emotionally. They're creating pressure. They're allowing the other side to reveal more, offer more, even negotiate against themselves. When you stay silent, the other person starts to talk more. They fill the silence. They make more offers. They reveal more information. And you simply sit back, listen, and wait for the perfect moment to speak. You're not resisting communication. You're mastering it. That's what top CEOs, political leaders, and elite strategists do. They don't rush. They don't beg. They don't plead. They sit. They breathe. And they let silence do the work. So next time you're in a deal, a debate, or a difficult conversation, remember, the one who listens most negotiates best. The one who speaks less wins more. And the one who controls the silence controls the outcome. Here's a truth that might surprise you. Most people today are strangers to themselves. They know their favorite actor's birthday, their friend's vacation schedule, or what's trending on social media. But they don't know their own heart. They don't understand why they feel anxious, empty, or restless. They don't know what truly makes them happy, or what silently breaks them. Why? Because the world is too loud, noise is everywhere. Social media, notifications, arguments, advertisements, opinions. We are constantly surrounded by voices except our own. And that's the problem. In all this external noise, your inner voice gets buried. You lose touch with the one person who matters most, yourself. But here's the solution: silence. When you become silent, you begin the journey inward. And that's where the real transformation starts. At first, it's uncomfortable. You sit alone in a room, no music, no phone, no distractions, and suddenly your mind starts talking, loudly. Why did I fail? Why do I feel lost? Am I enough? What am I even doing with my life? That moment scares many people, so they reach for the phone, they turn on music, they escape. But the brave ones, the strong ones, they stay, they listen. And in that silence, something amazing happens. The mind slows down, the thoughts become clearer, the noise fades, and a new voice emerges, not from outside, but from within. Let me give you a powerful real-life reflection. There was a man who traveled across the world searching for happiness. He went to luxury resorts, attended big parties, bought expensive cars, even visited temples and met spiritual teachers. But nothing worked. He still felt empty. One day, exhausted and frustrated, he rented a small wooden cabin in the mountains. No phone, no book, no internet, just silence. The first day he panicked. The second day he cried. But by the third day, something changed. He began to hear something new, not a voice from the outside, but a voice from within. He wrote in his journal, "I finally met someone I had ignored all my life. Me." That's what silence does. It introduces you to the most important person you'll ever meet, yourself. You begin to uncover truths that were hidden beneath the noise. You realize which dreams you've abandoned, which wounds you've ignored, which fears have silently guided your decisions. You see what truly matters and what never did. It's not therapy. It's not magic. It's not complicated. It's just silence. Silence separates what the world told you to be from who you were born to be. It's where healing begins, where self-awareness is born, and where peace becomes possible. You can't grow if you don't know who you are. You can't heal if you never face what's hurting you. You can't move forward if you haven't made peace with your past. So give yourself this gift, not for anyone else, for your soul. Because no matter how noisy the world becomes, your greatest transformation will always begin in the quietest place, within. In today's world, everyone is shouting, "Look at me, follow me, buy from me, listen to what I have to say." It's a world driven by noise, constant, endless, overwhelming noise. Every second, someone posts, comments, reacts, argues. Everyone is trying to stand out by being louder. But here's the irony. The louder you get, the less people hear you. Because when everyone is talking, no one truly listens. In a room full of raised voices, it's the quiet one who stands out. Now imagine this. You walk into a crowded room. Dozens of people are speaking, debating, joking, boasting. It's chaos. Then suddenly, one person enters, calm, centered, completely silent. They don't interrupt. They don't compete for attention. They simply sit, observing, composed. Within seconds, people start to notice. Who is that? Why are they so quiet? They must know something we don't. That's the paradox of silence. It's the absence of noise, but the presence of power. Silence demands attention, not because it screams, but because it whispers something deeper. It says, I'm not here to impress you. I'm here because I belong. Let's look at a powerful example from real life. Have you ever heard of Julius Yego? He's a javelin thrower from Kenya. But unlike others, he had no coach, no formal training, no spotlight. While other athletes were bragging about their programs and coaches, Julius had only one tool, YouTube. Yes, YouTube. He watched videos, studied techniques, trained silently, consistently. People mocked him. You'll never make it, they said. You're not serious. But he didn't argue. He didn't reply. He didn't explain himself. He just kept training in silence. And then, in 2015, at the World Championships, Julius stepped onto the field and threw the javelin 92.72 meters. The crowd went silent. The commentators were stunned. He had just become world champion, self-trained, unheard of, underestimated. When reporters asked how he did it, he simply said, I let my performance speak for me. That's attention without noise. That's silence with power. You see, the ones who talk the most often do the least. The ones who post daily about their dreams rarely pursue them. But the one who goes silent, who disappears for months, who works in the dark and then reappears with undeniable results, that's the one people listen to. Because silence doesn't mean absence. It means presence. It says, I don't need your approval. I know who I am. It says, I don't need to prove anything. I'll show you through action. Even in your personal life, you've probably seen this. The quiet person in the meeting, often the most intelligent. The friend who doesn't talk constantly, often the one people trust most. The one who listens more and speaks only when necessary. That's the person everyone respects. So the next time you feel the urge to speak just to be seen, pause. Because in a world that's always shouting, silence becomes the loudest voice. Trust is one of the rarest currencies in the modern world. And surprisingly, it's not earned by speaking more. It's earned by speaking less, but with intention. In a world where people talk to impress, exaggerate to manipulate, and share everything to feel validated, silence becomes a sign of something different, something rare, something powerful. Silence is a sign of integrity. When you're silent, it shows that you listen, not just to respond, but to understand. You don't interrupt. You don't rush to judge. You don't speak without thinking. And you definitely don't repeat things that were told to you in confidence. Let me ask you this. When something painful or emotional happens in your life, who do you go to? The friend who talks all the time? Who gives quick answers? Who tries to fix everything with 1,000 words? Or the friend who sits beside you, doesn't try to solve it, but simply listens, maybe says nothing at all, just stays with you in stillness? Most people would say the second one, because presence speaks louder than advice, and sometimes silence says exactly what the heart needs to hear. I'm here. I care. You're not alone. Let me tell you about someone whose silence earned the world's respect. Her name was Kalpana Chawla, a brilliant Indian-American astronaut. During her training, while others tried to prove how smart they were by constantly speaking, Kalpana remained quiet. She didn't seek attention. She listened. She learned. She focused. One of her instructors once said, when Kalpana spoke, people listened, because her silence had already earned their respect. She didn't need to talk all the time. Her quiet confidence spoke for her. That's what silence does. It builds your character, and your character builds trust. Because when people see that you don't gossip, don't speak carelessly, don't exaggerate or betray others' stories, they begin to feel safe around you. They think, if this person is quiet, Maybe they're thoughtful. Maybe they're loyal. Maybe they're real. In business, it's the same. The most trusted leaders aren't the loudest. They're the ones who speak with purpose. And when they do, everyone listens. Even in the military, the most respected officers aren't the ones shouting commands all day. They're the ones who observe quietly, lead by example, and speak only when it truly matters. And when they speak, the entire room listens. Because trust isn't built by volume. It's built by values. And silence protects your values better than any speech ever could. So the next time you feel the need to explain yourself, to defend your opinion, to say something just to fill the silence, pause. Ask yourself, will this build trust or just make noise? Because the truth is, people may forget what you said, but they will never forget how your silence made them feel safe, respected, and understood. We often think great relationships are built on communication, and that's true, but not all communication involves words. Sometimes the deepest connections are created in the quietest moments. In love, in friendship, in family, silence isn't just helpful, it's essential. Because not every situation needs a response, not every emotion needs a reaction, and not every moment needs to be filled with words. Sometimes silence is the most loving thing you can offer. When someone is crying, they don't need your advice. They need your presence. When someone is angry, they don't need you to fight back. They need your calm. When someone is vulnerable, sharing something real, they don't need your judgment. They need your silence, your understanding. Let me share a simple story that speaks volumes. An elderly man and his wife had been married for over 50 years. A young couple once asked them, "What's your secret? How did you stay so in love for so long?" The old man smiled and said, "I learned not to win every argument. Even when I knew I was right, I stayed silent." That one sentence is a lifetime of wisdom. Because in every relationship, there will be moments when your ego wants to speak, wants to shout, to prove, to defend. But love isn't about being right. It's about being kind. And sometimes, kindness sounds like silence. True love doesn't always speak. Sometimes silence says, "I forgive you. I understand you. I'm still here." Even in nature, we find examples of silent harmony. The moon doesn't shout at the ocean. The ocean doesn't argue with the moon. Yet they move together, perfectly in sync, endlessly connected. That's what real connection looks like. And in friendships too, the strongest bonds don't come from talking constantly. They come from shared silence, sitting together on a quiet walk, sharing a cup of tea, watching a sunset, saying nothing but feeling everything. That's real intimacy, where you don't need to perform, you don't need to impress, you don't even need to explain, you just need to be and feel safe being yourself. Even between parents and children, some of the most powerful moments happen without words. A gentle hand on the shoulder, a quiet meal shared together, a look that says, "I believe in you." So if you want to build lasting relationships, practice silence. Listen more, speak less. Understand before reacting. Pause before replying. Let the other person feel heard, not just heard over. And when you do speak, let your words carry kindness, presence, and meaning. Because the person who knows when to stay silent is the one who knows how to truly love. Now that you've seen the incredible benefits of silence, you might be wondering, how can I develop this in my own life? How can I stop overreacting, stop over-explaining, and start using silence as a source of personal power? Don't worry. Here are 5 simple but deeply powerful steps you can begin practicing today. Small shifts that can change everything. Step 1. Pause before you speak. Control starts with a pause. Silence doesn't mean staying quiet all day. It begins with a single habit, learning to pause before you speak. Even 2 seconds of silence can save your career, your relationship, your peace of mind. Imagine this. You're in an argument. Someone says something unfair or hurtful. Your emotions explode. Your brain screams, Say something, defend yourself, attack back. But instead, you pause, you breathe, you hold the silence. In that quiet space, you ask yourself, will my response help or harm? Is this worth my energy? Most of the time, you'll realize it's not. And by choosing silence, you avoid saying something you'll regret forever. Think about someone like Barack Obama. Have you ever noticed how he speaks? Slowly, thoughtfully. He pauses before almost every sentence. That's not just style. It's substance. It shows respect, control, strength. People listen because his silence adds weight to every word. So next time you feel the urge to reply fast, don't. Pause. Smile. Let the silence do the talking. Step 2. Spend time alone. Solitude is the school of self-awareness. Silence is not just about staying quiet around others. It's about meeting yourself in solitude. Find time every day, even 10 minutes, to sit alone without your phone, music, or distractions. At first, it'll be hard. Your brain will rebel. Check your messages. Scroll Instagram. Play a podcast. But if you stay still, something powerful happens. You'll begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You'll notice the patterns, the fears, the dreams you've buried. You'll reconnect with the voice you've forgotten, your own. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, used to take long walks in silence. No headphones, no calls, no agenda. He said, "That's when my best ideas come to me." And it's true. In silence, your mind finds space to breathe. And in that space, inspiration arrives. So give yourself that space, not for anyone else, for your own soul. Step 3. Speak less, act more. Don't announce it, prove it. Everyone today is talking. I'm going to start this. I'll launch that. I'm working on something big. But most of them never follow through. If you want to be different, say less. Focus on the work. Let your results speak louder than your voice ever could. Think about Michael Jordan. In high school, he was cut from the basketball team. He didn't post about it. He didn't argue with the coach. He just went silent and started training. Every morning, every night, in sweat, in pain, in silence. And when he returned, he didn't just make the team. He became the team, and eventually the greatest player the sport has ever seen. He didn't tell the world. He showed them. So don't talk about your goals. Build them. Don't announce your dreams. Deliver them. Step 4. Observe more, judge less. Silence sharpens your senses. When you're quiet, your eyes become sharper. Your intuition becomes stronger. You begin to see what others miss. Next time you enter a room, don't rush to speak. Watch. Listen. Notice. Who's nervous? Who's pretending? Who's insecure? Who's actually confident? Silence allows you to read between the lines, see what's hidden beneath the surface. Angela Merkel, one of the most powerful leaders in Europe, was never the loudest voice in the room. But she watched, listened, and chose her words carefully. And when she spoke, people paid attention, because in a world of noise, thoughtful silence commands respect. Step 5. Master the art of not reacting. Silence is not weakness. It's wisdom. The final and hardest step. Learn to stay silent even when it hurts. When someone insults you, silence. When someone misunderstands you, silence. When someone tries to provoke you, silence. Not because you're afraid, but because you are strong enough to rise above it. Naomi Osaka, the tennis champion, once said, "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to grow." She faced critics, racists, haters, and never shouted back. She let her game do the talking, and the world listened. You don't need to respond to every attack. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, because real power doesn't react. It builds, in silence, with purpose. So next time someone throws shade at you, smile. Walk away. Let your peace be your reply. Let your silence be your strength. If you take only one message from this entire video, let it be this. Silence is not the absence of sound. Silence is the presence of strength. When you master silence, you master yourself. Your thoughts, your emotions, your focus, your energy. And when you master yourself, you become unstoppable. You don't need to speak to prove yourself. You don't need to explain yourself to be understood. You don't need to react to be respected, because the one who speaks less, observes more, and acts with purpose is the one who commands true power. Yes, the world will test you. People will misunderstand you. Some will insult you. Some will doubt you. Others will try to provoke you. Let them. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You just need to stay focused, stay calm, move in silence, because one day your success will speak so loudly no one will be able to ignore you. So from today, don't be afraid of silence. Embrace it, train in it, grow through it, because it's not just a practice, it's your superpower. And if this message touched you, if it opened your eyes or your heart, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video if you found value. Comment below. What part of this message resonated most with you? And subscribe to our channel, because here, we don't just teach English. We help you grow into the strongest version of yourself. Together, we're building more than vocabulary. We're building discipline, mindset, confidence, and quiet strength. This is your journey. This is your power, and silence is your starting point. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay silent, stay focused, stay powerful.